Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. So, I don't know about you guys and how you guys feel about these things these days, but and also this video might be a little bit different than the usual stuff that I post, but stay with me for a bit and see what you think about what I'm talking about, okay? I've I've grown tired of consuming things. It's been some time I've been feeling this way, to be honest. We live in a world now that we we all bought this idea. We didn't buy the idea; it was given to us and basically drilled into our minds, force fed so much for so long that we think that this is a normal way of being and a normal way of living when it is far from the truth. We're always buying things that we don't even need. It's so pointless. And the reason why we do these things is because of that dopamine rush. We become addicted to the dopamine, to that feeling that lasts a little while after you get whatever new thing is it that you got. But haven't you noticed how that really doesn't last very long? And and I'm not to judge, but I think generally speaking, women suffer from this on a much higher scale than men do because we're different creatures in that sense. And I'm not saying men don't buy crap because we do it all the time, trust me. We buy stuff too. But I think it's something about the way that our brains work differently in that sense that women are more prone, naturally speaking, to be how do you say it? To be more inclined and receptive to all these ideas that are, like I said, they force fed us this stuff pretty much our whole lives. And part of the problem is that the most valuable thing that exists in the world today, and this may come as a surprise to a lot of people, because most of the time I'm over here talking about the value of life and what brings to us and how much it enriches our lives and makes us better when we learn the lessons, right? But there is this side of it, which is something that, especially in terms of spirituality, most people don't talk about these things, but the most valuable information that exists in the world today is data. Your data, my data, our data that isn't private at all. Because if you own a mobile device, like most people do, a tablet, a smart TV, all of these technology things, they're listening to everything. And they may not necessarily listen with a microphone, which most of the time they do, whether you know it or believe it or not, but they use the data that they are receiving from your usage to tailor it to you So, the devices over time, they learn what you like, what you don't like, and that's how things pop on your phone and all these things. And this is one of the things that makes people buy things sometimes. It's not that you felt the need to buy that thing, it's that you saw the thing on your phone or whatever, and it was a subtle way of giving you this impulse that is not even your own, because you were subliminally talked into doing that, if that makes any sense. And this is how this stuff works. So the problem is that no one out there is concerned about what happens to our data. That stuff should be private. First of all, it should be protected. It shouldn't be being out there floating all over the place to the highest bidder. And this is how it works. All these companies that manufacture and sell things, they buy your data from private companies or whoever has access to that data, because there are barely any laws that exist. And this is a worldwide phenomena in the past few decades, okay? This is a worldwide phenomenon, so it's not something that's like relegated to the United States or Europe or first world countries, as some would say. This is something that happens everywhere. If you have a phone, it'll take a matter of months until they gather enough data about you, and they know what you like, what you don't like, and they're gonna start trying to sell things to you that way. This is how it works. And like I said, I've grown tired of consuming, because one of the reasons is I've worked in retail most of my life, and I've seen things that are not pleasant at all. The level of disrespect and disregard that these corporations have for our environment, this planet Earth that we all live in, that is our home, that we should be treating nicely so it doesn't get all messed up the way it's been lately, right? These companies, all they care about is profits. So what happens is, they throw out so much stuff, and I'm talking about everything. It's not just food, it's goods, merchandise, product that ends up never getting sold. There's a really good documentary on Netflix that they put up there a while ago. I don't remember what the name of the documentary is now, but you can look that up yourself and see where it's people that worked in for places like Amazon and things like that, and they expose this whole thing of how the level of waste that exists, the amount of things that are produced, the amount of mobile devices that are produced every year, and that is purchased by us because people always wanted to have the latest model over or whatever it is. I'm not that kind of person, but I know there's a lot of people out there that they have to have the latest model. And then what happens is all these devices, they end up getting thrown into the environment, and they end up in a lot of like third world countries. There's these piles of electronic garbage all over the place, and these things are made of all kinds of like things that are very very harmful to the environment. Lots of chemicals, compounds, and heavy metals and things like that. And this poses a threat to the health of the ecosystem itself, animals, plants, and people. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. It's pretty depressing to talk about this kind of thing, to be honest. And this isn't really not the point of the video. I'm not here trying to make anyone depressed. That's not what I want. So don't get depressed from listening to this. What I'm saying is we shouldn't consume the way we do. The reason why we do is because we are being coaxed into it. by this whole system that is in place, and it just does its own thing, because this is how companies make money and increase profits year over year, by mass producing all kinds of things, including all kinds of useless things and garbage that we don't need. I don't know if there's any um, research that has been done, lately. That would be something interesting to look into it. Maybe I'll look into it one of these days, and if there's anything and I find out about it, maybe I'll make another video about it. But if anybody made any research comparing, the society that we have today in the year 2025 to, let's say, 60, 70, 100 years ago, to see the difference in the amount of things that people buy today as compared to what they used to buy, 50 to 100 years ago. And I guarantee you that in the past, it's going to be very different than it is today. That it can't be the same way. There's no way it's the same. And this is what I mean by, this is why, I've grown tired of consuming, because I know the negative impact that these things have outside of my own little world here, right? And these days lately, I'm just, if I need something for my car, like change a part or something so the car is still running well and all that, because we need our cars to move around and stuff. And that's pretty much it. I'm not buying stuff anymore. I've stopped. Last year I bought a lot of crap. Around the holiday season. Basically just stuff for myself, really. And it's like, why do we even do these things? Why bother? We're just giving more of our hard-earned cash to all these companies that don't give a damn about us or the environment and the whole picture, right? And then the other thing is, last year I didn't even celebrate Thanksgiving, Christmas, any of that stuff, because by having worked in retail most of my life, I've always despised those dates and never liked it or enjoyed it, because I've always seen the ugly side of it all, which is the side that most people don't get to see. And now that my son is an adult, and he is really the only family that I have here in the US, and he understands exactly how I feel. I've talked about this with him, many times. And I just talked to him recently the other day. I called him to let him know. I said, listen, this year I'm not doing anything again. Don't take it personal. You know how I am. I'd rather just spend some quality time by myself and be alone, and not having to deal with all this holidays where it almost makes you feel obligated to be somewhere, even though you really don't want to be there. He's the only family I have here. I don't have any family here outside of him. Well, I have a couple cousins and an aunt, and in the country, but I don't even talk to them at all, so I don't count them. So for me, Thanksgiving, I don't really care. I'll buy something, make myself a meal, and that's it. And Christmas, I'm not spending a penny. I'm not consuming. I'm not buying anything. And I think if a lot more of us did some of these things, by being mindful about that kind of stuff, it would make the world a better place overall, over time. Not gonna happen, overnight, but yeah. So, there's this whole thing with the data being sold, and everything is custom tailored to our liking to make us want to spend money on things that we don't actually really need, because there's a difference between needing something and wanting to have something, right? Just because you want to have it. Something you need is something you can't live without because you need that. But something you want, that's just, you know, greed or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But this is really all I wanted to talk about today, my friends. So if you like the channel, if you like the message, please like, share, subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of consuming things. And I've made this decision to basically, not be a part of this whole thing anymore in that way. So now I only buy things, for the most part, when I actually need them. And if everybody did the same thing, I think it would be good for the greater picture overall. So I will see you all on the next one. Okay, my friends? So be safe and take care. And I'll catch you later.